Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Olson, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I am joined by my very good friends. First of all, we got Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy, and we also have the one and only Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. Gentlemen, it's good to see y'all. How we doing?
Yeah, man, great. It's a little earlier in the week than we normally record, so appreciate you guys, coming in here.
Being flexible.
To mi casa,
We're being flexible.
That's right.
Yeah. It's been a pretty good week, so, moving along pretty well, so I'm glad it's going along. And we are a little earlier than usual, but we are heading into a 3-day weekend, so.
That's right. Holiday weekend here in the United States. So, anyways, boys, it's exciting to be back on the pod. All of our listeners, all of our viewers, as you might remember, we had a multiple week hiatus for the holidays. Last week we came back and dropped a Marvel video and a Marvel podcast where we basically ranked all of the projects in Phase 4. So you can check that out on our YouTube channel, on our Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. You can check that out. And yeah, we are continuing with the Marvel theme tonight, where we're going to have a fun discussion about Stan Lee.
That's right.
Yep.
But before that, just want to remind you guys to please hit subscribe on the video or wherever you're listening. Hit subscribe and kind of join us along in this journey. And also, please follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod on TikTok, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Definitely Instagram.
That's right. Yeah, for sure.
For sure, Instagram. So, we're a little more involved on some of those than others. But I'll let you figure out which ones we're good at. How's that?
Yeah.
But with all that in mind, we got a fun discussion about Stan Lee. We're going to do a little ranking tonight.
Which his birthday was 2 weeks ago.
That's right.
And so we're a little late on this, but he would have been 100 years old. And so we figured we would talk about his top 10 cameos.
Yeah, that's right.
So.
Yep.
And the way we did this, kind of similar to last week. Basically, I got the list I got everybody's list here. So I know their lists, Justin and Anthony, but they do not know mine. And I came up with some sort of arbitrary point system, which swayed everything in my favor. And, just kidding. But I did come up with a point system. I'm not great at math, but I did find a way to make this work. And yeah, we are just going to basically go through his top cameos. So something that's always been cherished, right? Like, let's just talk about the cameos in general. Like, when you go to a Marvel movie, I'm rarely going into it thinking like, oh, I can't wait to see where Stan Lee is. I never have that thought. But when I'm in the theater, I'm always so delighted when I see where he is. Do you guys feel the same?
Same. I do feel the same way. And there are people out there who are like, oh, I can't wait to see what Stan Lee does. But I'm with you. I'm not forefront thinking of like the Stan Lee cameo, but when it happens, you're like very overjoyed with how awesome it was. That kind of thing.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's any like pressure on whatever he's doing either. It just feels like he just shows up and does whatever, and you just have some fun with it, and then you're like, oh, that was awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I think that was one of the good things. Is it hasn't been one of those things that's been truly like ruined. Because I feel like sometimes things get too pressured, and sometimes little bits or things can feel forced. It never felt like he was, forced into anything. I felt like he just did fun,
right?
And whatever he wanted.
He clearly wanted to do it. Like, that's what made it the best. Is that he was all in. He was all in.
Totally. Anyways, with that in mind, let's get into it. Number 10, okay, on our list is from the first Avengers movie in 2012. Do you guys remember?
Oh, wow.
The
that
cameo?
Was where he was on the computer screen, right? The news.
Yeah, it was on the news feed towards the end of the movie. And again, this was probably his, if I had to guess, it has to be his latest cameo within a movie, right? I mean, it was
almost towards the end.
It was
like the last
very
10 minutes, right?
Oh, yeah.
Maybe less. Yeah, I mean, it was very much at the end. But yeah, he's they're doing a news report about like the wake of the Battle of New York. And he turns around from like a chess table or something. He says, superheroes in New York?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yes.
It was good.
I think it was a solid anime. That was a solid Avengers cameo for sure.
Yes.
Sorry, wrong
podcast. Wrong podcast. Justin, also host of the... What do you guys call that?
We call it the RGP Anime Edition, as we call it.
RGP Anime Edition. Go Avengers. Check that out.
Different A word.
Go check that out. Justin's got a good thing going over there, too. But that was a fun one. And
yes.
And again, that's one where it's like, when I'm watching it, I wouldn't have thought, by the time he came up on the screen, I'm like, oh, that's right. Thank God they finally got him in there.
Oh,
Yeah.
But the whole movie, I wouldn't have been thinking about it. But
especially the spectacle that it was. Like, you weren't thinking about that at all throughout like, oh, hey, did they do a Stan Lee? No, you weren't thinking that.
Right.
It was the first culmination of phase one that just took place in front of you, and it was amazing. So
Well, and at that point, we weren't even sure how well you could jam that many comic book characters into one movie. Like, all those main characters. It was the first real attempt, big budget, to fit so many of those characters from so many franchises together. So you kind of forgot that he normally shows up. And at that point, I think it was early enough in the MCU where you were like, well, he may not necessarily show up in every single movie, you know?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So that was in 2012. I'm not sure the release date on this next movie, but number 9, and it's actually tied for number 9.
Oh,
because there's two who have the same point value here. But we'll start with Big Hero 6.
Yes, absolutely. I love Big Hero 6 cameo. I didn't think we were actually going to get like Stan Lee like physically, because the entire movie, all he was like a portrait, and you can see his dad is Stan. And when they finally the post-credit scene rolls and it's Stan Lee's character coming in, and just the throwaway line that was said, I think it was Frank was the main character, or not the main character, the supporting character.
Yeah.
And it was about the underwear, man. And Stan Lee's like, you wear it front, you wear it back, inside out, front and back. And I was like, that's amazing. Like, to get Stan Lee to come in and do a cameo.
It was phenomenal. Like I loved it. It was such a nice little scene, and it was. He fit in. It was a great character piece, little character piece that they were showing, and it's actually more substance than a lot of his other cameos are, because a lot of his other cameos are literally just like comic relief for a moment,
right?
And this was like
a dad reuniting with his son,
getting to see his dad, and it was
meaningful.
Yeah.
And you could see I think it was Frank or Fred or Frank, one of the Fred.
I think it's Frank.
Frank, okay, yeah, he was very emotional. He's like, Dad, and
it sounds just like him.
So it was a very funny scene.
Yeah. And speaking of funny, I would say this next one is extremely funny, which is why I had it on my list. I don't think you guys had it on yours, as I'm looking at it high. Then yeah, I did have it high.
Okay, I can't wait.
Because for me, just know that the weight of my heart is through laughter.
Yes.
And to me, this is hands down one of the funniest ones. So tied with Big Hero 6 in the 9 spot is the cameo of Stan Lee from Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, that's the shrinking car.
The shrinking car.
Yeah.
And he says, well, the 60s were fun, but I'm paying for it now.
Yes. that was a great one, man.
Yes.
Yeah, they're like in the chase scene, and I think it was the Wasp who was shooting.
It was the Wasp.
Yeah. That was hilarious.
I really did value my picks more, but now that you're mentioning it, that did get the bigger laughs.
Yeah,
it did. Gosh, that was so good.
Certainly one of the funny ones.
Yeah, definitely a solid scene. One thing I will say is it was harder than I was expecting it to be to narrow these down. Like, it was.
Yeah.
I was expecting there to be about 8 maybe that I would like really, really like, and then the last 2 would kind of just fill in. But I was going at least 12 to 15 deep. That I was like...
Yeah, it was really tough, man.
Yeah.
I actually had to break mine down. There was, I think, 3 or 4 at the top that were like in a tier. And then I had like a mid-tier. And then I got to the last couple, and I was like scratching my head like, dang, how am I going to narrow this down? It was difficult. So yeah. Okay, so that was the 2 movies, or the 2 cameos tied in the 9 spot. So next up would be the 7 spot. But we have another tie. So there are 2 cameos who are tied for... Technically, they're tied for 6.
Yeah.
And the last ones were technically tied for 8th, not 9th. Sorry. Working in back reverse order here. Anyways, the first movie, or the first cameo tied in the 6th spot is Mallrats.
Mallrats.
All right, yeah. So that is a non-MCU movie.
Nope, it is not an MCU
however,
movie.
Kevin Smith is a huge comic book guy.
Yes,
so
he certainly
kind
is.
of adjacent that to a comic book movie in a way.
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways Kevin Smith wants his movies to be comic book movies.
Yes.
For the most part, and I think kind of what he was going at there was, I mean, getting Stan Lee, and it was also kind of a unique idea at the time because I believe this will be the earliest movie that will be on any of our lists.
Oh,
What
for
year
sure,
did it come
yeah.
out? What year did it come out?
It was in the 90s.
Yes.
Well, the earliest was in the 80s.
Well, on the list?
No, on the
Yes,
list.
yes,
Sorry.
yes.
Yes.
You're right, Shimano. Yes.
Yeah, on our
our top
list,
10, yes.
Would be that, and I think it was a really nice scene that you got to see with him basically talking the character through sometimes, and you're like, it was one of those moments where it was also at a time where if you were a huge comic book nerd, you knew who he was, but if you didn't know, if you weren't, you didn't know who he was. It wasn't the same thing as, once the MCU came out where, Stan Lee was someone that everybody pretty much knew.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It was also Stan Lee's longest cameo because he actually has full dialogue and engagement with the character. It was a really good scene in the movie.
Yes.
It holds its own really as maybe even a pivotal point in the movie too. So very, very good pick, Shimano.
Yeah, Shimano, where did that stack on your list, actually?
That was my number one.
That was Shimano's number one, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Hey, that's a good number one pick. I have a feeling this next one's probably mine.
What a hipster of you.
I don't know, we'll see.
Funny you say that.
Yes, it is.
If you're doing the math, this is exactly what happened.
I was.
Both of Shimano and Justin's number ones, no one else in the pod voted for them. So that's
Wow.
that's how they were tied with this particular point value in the 6th spot. But yes, also tied for number 6 and number 1 on Justin's heart in his list is Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And this was Stan Lee was trying to get into the Reed Richards and Sue Storm's wedding.
Yeah.
And the bouncer stops him. Whoa, 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 whoa. He's like, I'm on the list. I'm on the list.
He says his name.
He says, I'm Stan Lee. He says, yeah, sure you are.
Yeah.
He kicks him out of the wedding. That one's top tier for me, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's my number one. And I
good.
always get a good chuckle out of that one, man. It was fun. He's like, I'm Stan Lee. He literally drops his name, and he's like, I'm Stan Lee. I'm Stan Lee.
He's a good bouncer, though,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
He's like doing his job.
He's doing his job.
I mean, I will admit that's it's a good scene for sure.
I'm on the list.
Like going back to it, it really was. It was just hard,
Yeah.
like to narrow down some of this stuff, and getting down to the brass tacks of how you felt. It's a lot. It was a lot of like how you felt personally about his cameos.
And the thing is like it's forgotten because it's in one of the worst movies ever. So
It's true.
That's why. But
Yes.
I went back through and I gave it its
True.
fair fighting shot.
True.
So-
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
It was pretty bad. So bad you didn't even watch it.
Exact. Well, hey, I wasn't watching superhero movies back then. Okay.
You weren't. And that
I've
was
not
one
been-
I didn't want to indoctrinate you into.
No,
so
it's fine.
Yeah.
And I appreciate
It's all
that.
good. Yeah, no, I got your back.
So those were the 2 cameos tied for number 6. Now there is a clear number 5. Thankfully.
Okay. Standalone. All right.
Yeah. So in the number 5 spot, and this one I think was relatively high on my list. Maybe I'm looking at it. Yeah, somewhat. Is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes. That's a good one, man.
Yeah.
So Volume 1's cameo was funny, and someone on this pod did vote for that one. Did not make the list.
Oh, wow. It did not make the list.
Did not make the list. Sorry, buddy. But Guardians 2
Yeah.
really was it was funny. It's like, you chuckled at it a little bit, but it was also like it felt meaningful. Like, whoa,
Yeah.
like there was some substance there, So
Yeah, that's true.
so he's there with the Watchers.
Yep.
Yes.
And he's like breaking down, like in this one time I was a Federal Express agent.
Yes. Dude, it was okay. So him sitting there with the Watchers, all the fans in the theater are like, oh, we were right, like because everyone's like his Stan Lee cameos in the Marvel movies. He's playing like a Watcher agent type of deal,
Right.
Yes.
And that was kind of Marvel's nod at like, yeah, you know what,
We hear you.
we hear you,
Yeah,
that kind of
it's
thing.
not what it actually is, but you
Right.
know, he
We'll give you
like,
something
you're right.
fun.
And that's funny.
For a
Like
second.
they start walking away, and he's like, "Wait, you got my ride out of here."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Again, it felt like one that was like birthed off of Reddit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. It feels like that Marvel was actually like listening to the
Yeah,
fans.
Yeah.
yeah. Complete fan service is really what it was.
Yeah. But it's a solid scene.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that it's just in between them like doing their like time or space jumping where they just like I don't know how you describe their
Oh, this was
their
Yondu and Rocket.
Yeah,
and-
they were
right?
they were like bouncing back and
And their
forth
eyes
between they're going crazy and they're
Yeah.
flipping through different dimensions or not is it dimensions? No.
No,
it's just
it's more like a It's more like almost like wormholes that they're going through.
Okay, yeah, more so like folding
they
space
were
on
jumping.
itself.
They were
Yeah,
jumping.
like basically jumps is
Yeah.
what they were doing that's how they essentially got across space.
Okay,
Yeah, through the hexes, right? They were little hexes.
the little
Yes.
hexes. Which is, by the way, is a crazy experience at the Disney World ride.
Yeah?
It's phenomenal.
Tell us about it.
Guardians of the Galaxy ride, man.
Yeah, man, I
It's-
really want to go on it.
You need to, and it's literally you jumping through like space, and that's what
Yeah.
it is, and it's amazing. Like you different direction, spinning around. It's wild. It's absolutely wild. It's like you feel like the Yondu and Rocket in the ship is what you feel like.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's a solid pick. I can't argue that.
Fair enough. So that is number 5. On to number 4. Okay, this was a really good one. Number 4 on the list for Stan Lee cameos is The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yes.
Uh-huh. He's just jamming out to some classical music,
Yeah.
wasn't it? It was classical music, I believe.
so.
Was it classical music?
I'm pretty sure it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like doing the little wand
Yeah.
gesture, and in the background, Lizard and Spider-Man are just brawling and destroying things.
You don't hear any of that battle.
Oh no,
That's the best part.
And of course, he has
No.
oversized headphones for like no
Yes.
particular reason at all. I guess because he's old, so he's wearing
Yeah.
old school headphones.
He's got
I
Beats.
guess they're not wearing even Beats. They were like old school,
Yeah.
like helicopter.
They were massive.
Yeah, they were massive.
They were big for sure.
But just the fact that the camera is solely on him, and it's just the background, like almost blurred out, where you
Yeah.
can barely see the fight happening, and it's all on Stan Lee, and I don't know. It was such a good point.
I think it's probably the best looking of his cameos in the sense of like the way that the
Yeah.
action is moving around and like
Yeah.
everything like that. Like everything else is kind of like focused on him and it's kind of like all this stuff that's happening behind him. I think it's one of the more interestingly shot scenes.
Yes.
Just for the most part, for everything else in him, he's kind of like stationary for the
True.
most part. Whereas in this, it's very much there's action oriented around him and stuff like that.
And he even leaves the room, and then they land on the desk where he was at. So.
Yes.
Right. Well, there was a table that was like thrown
yes,
at him.
That's right.
Yes, that it
And
was
Spider-Man
caught.
catches
Spider-Man
it.
catches
Yes.
it. That was
That's-
sick.
Yes,
That
that was
was
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, that was hands down for me like the coolest part of that.
That was
It was,
actually.
it was epic. Yeah, and then it's like he just leaves the room, has no idea.
Yeah.
He's clueless. That was such a
Literally
good scene.
clueless. It was shot
Such
really well.
a great
Yes.
scene, man.
Yes, it was shot really well. So yeah, that is number 4. Okay, the top 3 kind of stood out from the rest,
Okay.
and there's actually a tie once again
For the two spot?
for the 2 spot.
Wow.
There is a clear winner, which we'll get there in the end, but there is a tie for the number 2 spot, and there is a unifying factor in the tie, which I'm excited to break down for you guys. But let's get into the first Stan Lee cameo that's tied for the 2 spot, all the way back to 2011 with the first Thor film.
Okay. Yes. This is
Yes.
Stan the Man, where he's
Yes.
trying to pull the Mjolnir out of that.
Yes.
It is, his truck bed just gets ripped out.
Yes.
Gosh, dude.
Well, dude, even before that, he's like he drives
he's
away,
gunning it, yeah.
Then he gets stopped, and then he's gunning it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, and I didn't expect Stan Lee to be there in that scene. I mean, obviously, we're not looking for Stan Lee in the movies,
Yeah.
but
Right.
that was the least Stan Lee scene that you would expect him to be in
Yep.
because it was so action heavy. As far as
Yeah.
like the truck bed is literally like dirt's flying everywhere. The truck bed flies off into the air. We get a cool like little camera shot of it flying in the air, and then he sticks his head out the window.
Yeah.
Gosh, dude, it's so funny too,
Yeah.
man.
Yes.
Yes, it really is.
Did it work?
He turns around,
Yeah. Oh,
and like everyone is there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes.
No, you gotta set up the environment too. Like
Yep.
they're all it's a bunch of guys drinking
Yes.
beer,
Bunch of
trying to get
dudes.
this. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a bunch of dudes just drinking beer and just hanging out, trying
Yes.
to do this manly thing, and no one's winning.
Get
no
the
one's,
hammer
yeah.
out of the dirt, out of the
And
sand.
this is also we saw the Phil Coulson like staring out on Mjolnir in the post credit scene of
Iron Man 2?
Iron Man,
Yeah.
was it Iron Man 2? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we see
Yeah.
that same scene, but then it goes into there, and it's like all the guys just like trying to get Mjolnir out. So like just setting the
was
scene in
so
general, it fit so perfectly. I loved it, man.
Yeah. It was a phenomenal scene where you just get to see just a bunch of guys being dumb and doing having fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
Random nonsensical guy things, and
Yes.
beer's
Yeah.
always involved.
Yeah.
So
always, including tonight.
that's right.
So yeah, I forgot to mention this, but the top 3. So this one I just mentioned, the next 2 to come. They're the only 3 that were on all 3 of our lists.
Beautiful.
So I don't know if that gives you
Appropriate.
guys. I don't know if that gives you guys any idea of what's next, but The connecting factor between the two movies that are tied for second is that both cameos came in a Thor film.
Really?
Yes.
So,
Okay.
Thor Ragnarok was on all three of our lists. It was low on Justin's.
It was lower on
That's
mine.
why you're surprised,
Yeah,
probably.
That's why I was surprised, yeah.
But, I mean,
It's a good scene, though.
again,
it's
if you're
phenomenal.
thinking funny,
Yeah.
and maybe Thor carried the funny part in this one in particular. But you see he's like sitting on this chair, and Stan Lee comes around the side. He's like, "Now hold still. I'm not. My hands aren't as steady as
As
they
it used to be. And he like has the weird clippers with like
Yes.
the 5. Like,
Oh, dude, they're going every direction.
Oh
It
my
looks-
gosh, dude.
Yeah.
It looks
It looks
It looks like a
terrifying.
torture
Really.
device.
Yes.
And then they do the classic like off camera, and then you hear that. Zzz.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good, man. It truly is a funny scene.
A little backstory to this one. So, if you guys know what Thor says to him?
Not off the top of my head, no.
He says, "By Odin's beard, you shall not touch my hair." And that was actually this is confirmed. That was a line that they got from Reddit, like on one of those like Ask Me Anythings.
Yeah.
Somebody requested, "Hey, when you make to Taika Waititi, hey, when you make Thor Ragnarok, can you include this line?" Because in the comics he says it by
Yeah.
Odin's beard, like he's like swearing on it.
Yeah.
"You shall not touch my hair," and then Taika included
He
that
did
line.
it. He did it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's pretty awesome.
It was-
And in the Stan Lee cameo, so like that has more meaning to it because Stan Lee is
Yeah.
in it for the fans, like
Right.
And to do a fan selected
Yep.
line, fantastic. That's great, man.
Exactly. "Please, sir, don't touch my hair." And it's just the blades are going.
Oh man, and then I mean, obviously Jeff Goldblum playing in on that. Like,
Oh, my
hey,
gosh.
here you go.
Yeah,
Such a good scene, man.
we just love that movie, guys.
Yes.
It is.
We love
It
that
is.
movie.
We just can't stop talking about it.
No, we can't.
it's a treasured
It keeps
movie.
coming back. All right, so we're at number one. Now, I thought it would be good before we get into number one. And now, for these guys, it's going to give away what number one is here in a moment. But I'm thinking we go through real quickly all the honorable mentions, and what that means is any cameo that was voted on but didn't make the top 10. And there's actually 9 of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had 19 different cameos between the 3 of our lists. So again, it's going to make it really obvious to the 2 of you what the winner is, but our listeners and viewers won't have any clue.
Okay.
And the winner is the clear winner because it's the best one. So, anyways, just going to give you guys, if you want to say something quickly about any of these,
Okay.
jump in. Okay, so the beginning of the MCU, Iron Man.
Yeah.
guys remember this one?
Hugh Hefner.
Hugh Hefner,
yes.
yeah,
Just a nice little scene.
yeah, really quick.
Yeah, he just taps his shoulder.
Yeah,
So-
looking
so
good, Hugh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ah, so
He
good.
turns around. He's got like a cigar in his mouth.
Definitely like
two
a
ladies
true-
on his arm. Right?
Yeah.
Definitely a true like cameo.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
You know?
true cameo. Didn't say a word. Yeah,
You kind of had
really
to double
quick.
take. Yeah, you're like, wait,
Yeah.
was that
Yeah.
Stan? Was that or was that Hugh? You were like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who he looks like, but
Yeah.
it could be him.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and the next honorable mention is also kind of a true cameo, and it's actually Iron Man 2. Do you guys remember this one?
He's Larry David.
Yes.
Yes.
There you
Yes.
go. Yes. In the crowd, like walking through.
And he's like,
Yep.
yeah, it was like a point of view shot
Yep.
from Tony.
It was basically just a truthfully, it was just a rehash of the Iron Man 1.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But this one was good because he kind of does look like Larry. Like he really
He does.
And it was so quick.
Yes.
You know, he's just standing there with his arms behind his back.
Yep.
Yeah, it was really funny.
Nice.
So, all right, next one, Endgame.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
this was officially his last one. Is that right? 'Cause when did he die? He died in 2018,
Yeah,
right?
2018.
Endgame came out in 19, but they had shot Endgame before he died, so that's why he was.
Yeah.
Or was
think
he?
so.
Was he in Far From Home?
I think he was. Yeah, he wasn't far from home. I
He
believe.
was. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, help us out, guys.
In the comments,
Yeah.
let us know. Yeah, it might be. And again, like if you were ever going to have
The last
your last cameo, it's
Endgame would
the
be it.
perfect movie, I guess. But do you guys remember the Endgame one?
Oh yeah, he's driving the car.
Yeah, back
Yeah.
in like 1970 or whatever.
Yeah,
Yes.
choose love, not war,
Yeah,
whatever. Like
make
that.
love,
yeah.
not
Oh, make
war.
love, not war. Yeah. And a fun fact about this scene is obviously it's a de-aged Stan Lee,
Right,
But the girl who's riding with is also a de-aged version of his wife, Joan.
yeah?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's really
so
cool.
that was that's awesome.
That's special.
Yep. And I believe the license plate had something to do with his dog Charlotte.
Oh, yeah?
I believe that's what it was too. So
sweet.
There is. I would like to shout out one cameo that didn't make my top 10, but actually, you bringing it up makes me think of it. And the reason why I almost put it in my top 10 was just because of the fact of like almost the emotional nature of it is the fact of an X-Men Apocalypse. You get to see him with his actual, it's him and his wife standing in front of their actual house.
Yeah.
And it's just a nice little scene where they're, all
the rockets are going off, right?
Well, yeah. There's literally about to blow up, and they're watching all the rockets in the air.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a great scene.
Yes.
Yeah. Nothing said or anything. But
No, but you just that's right. I remember that.
It's a good shout.
And and you can see in his sunglasses, you can see the reflection of the rockets going. That's really cool. Yeah. All right, so the next honorable mention, thank you, is Captain America: Civil War.
Yes, that was a good one as well. I feel like
that one.
It was funny.
The FedEx guy, Tony Stanks.
Tony Stank.
Yeah, and I love Cheadle's reaction. Yes, Stank
Tony
right
Stank
here.
is here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So good.
It was good. The next one is Avengers: Infinity War. You guys remember Infinity War?
I'm trying to remember Shimado.
Now, I just watched Infinity War yesterday.
Yes.
Shout out John and Kim if you're listening.
What was it for Fresha?
All right, so the thing I liked about Infinity War is in the first Avengers, it was right at the end.
Yeah.
In Infinity War, it's like almost at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Or when Spider-Man sees the ship in space, he's driving the bus. Stan Lee's driving the
Oh,
bus.
yeah.
And everyone's freaking out,
Yes.
right? And he's like, what's the matter? You kids never seen a spaceship before?
That's right.
So
it is almost the first scene, I think.
yeah,
right?
it was very early on.
Yes.
Very early on. Yeah. So yeah, and then next up, I think Justin will be sad about this one. Actually, Amato will be too. Deadpool.
Wow.
Oh.
Didn't make the list, but that's okay.
Were you thinking Deadpool might have been?
No, I already know what number one is.
Okay,
I can already tell.
Number one's clear.
But yeah, Deadpool. The reason I like the Deadpool cameo is because Stan Lee is always in these like heartwarming scenes and everything, but he's
straight laced almost
yes,
in a lot of
exactly.
ways.
But here he is as a DJ at a strip club.
Yes.
And welcome to the stage, Chastity. And
I think it's also just funny to think about the fact of like an 85-year-old man at the time being the DJ at a strip club. Just that in general, it would just be.
And the funniest part is he might have actually been older at that point.
Yeah.
Technically, and that's what's so crazy
actually, he might have been in his 90s.
Yeah, like all the older movies, like the Mallrats, he was still old as dirt then.
Yeah.
He lived to 96.
Yeah, that's wild to think about. Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe 95, somewhere in there.
And
but
I don't know if the other Deadpool cameos honorable mentioned or not, but I want to shout it out because when Wade Wilson changes in the telephone booth and he like runs out.
Shut up, Stan.
Yeah, they're like, shut it, Stan.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a good one. That was
really good. That was really good. Okay, there's only a couple more. Winter Soldier, Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Oh man,
So he was.
that's such a good one, man.
It was.
It really is.
He's the security guard
at the museum.
Yes.
And he's like, what do you say? I think I'm losing my job for this one or something.
Yeah,
like
I'm
that, right?
so
lose my
fired.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm so fired. That's what it is.
Yep. All right, two more. Guardians of the Galaxy, the first Guardians,
Yes.
which Justin did vote for.
Yes.
No one else did. Sorry,
I did. It's okay. It's
It was on my close list though.
okay. Good. As
Yeah,
long as it
because
was close.
It was because what was funny about it was the commentary from Rocket.
Yes.
Right.
He's losing binoculars, like looking at everybody.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, look at this old guy over here, and he's like making
Just
fun of him for
roasting
talking to
him.
this old young girl. or
Yeah, he's
whatever.
roasting.
Yes,
him.
so
It's
bad.
It's
It was
hilarious.
awesome.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last honorable mention voted by Shimado. I'm looking at this. Yes, Incredible Hulk.
Yes. I just like. I mean, it's the
Just a
only one.
soda?
It's the only one he
Yeah.
ever dies in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shoot, that's right.
Yeah.
Like
Good point.
because basically what happens is
Right.
the Hulk's blood ends up in some supplies.
Yeah, some
he
soda.
drinks it and he basically dies from it.
Right.
So I just really enjoyed like the that part and the fact that he I don't know, it's the only one he ever dies in.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I got one more though.
Okay.
One
Throw
more.
it out there.
From Spider-Man the Animated Series. One of the last episodes of the series when they're doing the Spider-Verse storyline. One of the Spider-Man has no powers, and the Spider-Man, the main Spider-Man, is like, well, can't you get back home? He's like, well, I'm just an actor. And he's like, oh, really? And he brings him back to the new world, and the actor's like, I want to take you to go see Stan. And Spider-Man's like, who's Stan? He's like, well, he created Spider-Man. And he's like, what? And so they have a conversation. The actor who plays Spider-Man and the actual main character Spider-Man are climbing up the wall, And he's like, yeah, Stan Lee, he created Marvel Comics, and
that's
and
pretty
he would
cool.
love to see you, like that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And so he goes in the office, and he's hanging from the roof, and Stan Lee's sitting there all illustrated in cartoon style.
Yeah.
And Stan Lee's like, wow, I must be going crazy. And he like picks up the phone. He's like, Ruth, hold all my calls. I'm here with Spider-Man. And then Spider-Man takes him swinging throughout the city. And he's like, I've always wanted to swing for real. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And then Spider-Man tells him this one line. And it's like, wow, I've always wanted somebody to just see me for the hero that I truly am. And I can thank you for that, for bringing me to life. That kind of thing.
Oh.
It was such a good
Yeah, it's
scene.
pretty
emotional.
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cool. It's a really cool thing and everything. That I kind of, when I was thinking about it in general, I was just thinking movies. But TV series is a getting in there is
there'd be
always
a ton
awesome.
of TV series
Yes.
cameos for sure. But I just had you threw in Mallrats. I just had to I had to throw in that one.
Yes.
So,
And
yeah.
well, while we're just doing honorable mentions, for the true OG Royal Geek fans out there.
Oh yeah. Agents of
Which-
Shield.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Do you guys remember the Agents of Shield?
Yeah,
one?
where they're on the bus, right?
it was a train.
Oh, train.
Had
Yeah.
a train.
And they're fake arguing.
Yes,
Yes.
'cause they're
Coulson
undercover.
And,
Yeah.
oh shoot, I'm losing her name.
Gemma. Gemma.
yes,
Dude,
yes.
I was like, what? Yeah,
Um,
it was Gemma.
Fitz and Simmons. So,
Yes.
but yeah, so they're arguing, and then Stanley's just like he's telling pretty much Coulson he's an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. He like rebukes Coulson.
Yeah.
You can do better.
You can do better. You should be ashamed of
Yeah.
yourself.
Great scene. Great
Yes.
scene.
All right, let's wrap it up. That's it. Nope, it's not it. We got one more to
Number
go.
one,
the number
baby.
one cameo, with which for me it's high on my list. It's very high on yours.
I think it's 2 on mine.
I think it is. Yeah. Shimano. It's lower on Shimano's, but he did vote for it. Avengers: Age of Ultron.
Such
Yes.
a good cameo, man.
Yes. Break it down for us.
Oh, it's just veterans just hanging out. It's the Avengers party when you actually
Yeah,
get to see
they're
them be
celebrating.
real people.
Yes.
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
to see the Avengers hanging out, chilling, having a party,
Yeah.
and just these random veterans. I guess are they supposed to be Captain America's old friends or something like that? Is that what they're supposed to be?
Yeah, they're just
Probably.
they're just World War II
I don't know.
veterans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And they're just chilling at the bar, and Thor's bragging about this liquor from Asgard.
Some sort of
Yeah.
Asgardian whiskey,
Yeah.
aged for a million years
Yeah.
or 1,000 years or something stupid.
And Stan Lee's character is just like, it's nothing. I can handle it.
Well, no, Thor says, it's not made for mortal man.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Stan Lee says, neither was
Omaha Beach.
Omaha Beach, Blondie. Hand it over.
Oh, and then the very next scene, you see them carrying him out, and he says, Excelsior.
Yeah, he's like
Yes.
trying to say it. Oh, he's like totally blitzed.
Oh, man.
it's
it's
so
such a good scene. As far as comedic chops go, that was like perfect,
It's-
man. Absolutely
yeah,
perfect.
Yeah, it's up there. Clearly, it's number one on our list,
Yes.
and I mean, it's one of the funnier ones
It
for
is.
Yes,
sure.
It
it's
really-
definitely good.
It
Yes.
really is. God, and but it gets forgotten because Age of Ultron.
Because of
is
Age of Ultron.
a lower tier Avengers
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, it's so good though. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Age of Ultron grows on you as time goes on. I'll say that. But that's another discussion.
I mean, I think the
for
whole
another
issue-
time.
I think you've watched
Yeah.
it more recently than
Yeah.
we have. I believe.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest issue is that the other 3 Avengers movies are,
Creme de la creme.
you know,
Yeah.
like elite. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you watched Infinity War yesterday. Like, it has me wanting to go back and rewatch Infinity War
Yeah.
right now.
So good.
Yes.
So good. Yeah. Literally watched Infinity War yesterday. Amazing. So, but yeah, that was our top 10 list and all of the honorable mentions of all of Stan Lee's cameos. May he rest in peace. Happy birthday. He would have been turning 100 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Yep.
Wish he was still here with us because if he was still alive, he would still be
Cameo.
doing these cameos.
Yes.
And I kind of wish they would do something.
Yeah.
There were rumors about what if Kevin Feige started doing the cameos?
I'd be okay with
Yeah.
that.
That'd be fun. It'd be a cool little nod to Stan. You know what I'm saying? That everybody would recognize him. But they haven't done anything like that. So, anyways, with all that in mind, that's pretty much it. So I want to remind everybody who's listening, everybody who's watching, to please hit the subscribe button, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Apple, Spotify, Google, somewhere else. Please subscribe to the podcast so you catch all of our new episodes. And also, please follow us on social media at Royal Geek Pod. Check us out on TikTok, on Instagram. Follow us on social media. Stay up to date with everything we got going on. We are less than a month away. Is that right? Yes. Less than a month away from Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. So we got
Exciting
a lot.
news.
We got
Exciting.
a lot of stuff to cover. Before you know it, we'll have another Marvel series. There'll be other Star Wars stuff. Maybe some DC stuff. I don't know. We'll find out.
knows?
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to cover in 2023, so please join us along. Come along for the ride, okay? So, with all of that in mind, for my good friends Sandy and Shimado, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening or watching the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.
Go Bulls.
Excelsior.